Greetings.
Hey, Brian.
Hello.
How you doing?
Good. Can you hear me?
I can hear you. Can you hear me?
I can hear you.
Okay. Well, that's good.
Yeah.
Still having issues
Santa.
with this computer, I think.
Uh-huh.
Santa, will you bring me a Tiffany gift card?
Let me check something here. Okay. Well, so that's that. Huh. Yeah, I don't know if I think I did tell you the last time. I spent over an hour on the damn phone with Dell, and they still haven't figured out what to do with his computer.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
Always something.
always.
Yep.
So,
Yeah, my computer, I still have Windows 7. So, getting all these notices, hey, all your updates are not going to work soon because you got to switch over to Windows 10. Which I've been resisting. So now I got to switch over to update to Windows 10. So my software will work on other programs. So.
well, I've got two laptops. The old one has Windows 7, and that machine's starting to act up. So that's why I bought this one, which has Windows 10, which I'm not very familiar with, and of course, this computer, I got to get my son to come over and help me with it. Because it doesn't do things the same.
Yeah.
And
keep switching things around.
well, that and the, I've got to get all my stuff that I need from the old one over to this one.
Yeah, that's why I was resisting, because there's all isn't just, hey, flip the switch. You got to switch things around.
Right.
Which takes a day or two. There's always something that doesn't work.
Yeah, I sent the guy from Dell that was on the phone with me, and he sent me this email saying, I'm your this and that, and if you got issues, contact me. So I gave it 12 days, and I fired a reply back to him saying, hey guys, I haven't heard from you. What's going on? So
speaking of changes, I've been working on a new newsletter format for next year.
Oh, really?
Beginning in January. It'd be a whole new look. Oh, there's Dave. Hey, Dave.
All right, maybe this one will get us as one of the acknowledged websites on the AEW.
Who to what? What was that?
AEW.
Yeah.
Acknowledges websites every year, and they've been us ever since we've sent them in. So.
What now?
Hi, Brian.
How you doing?
Hi, Ralph.
Hello, Daniel.
What about me, Daniel?
Hi, David.
Hi, Daniel.
So what Father and I have been going through this past Friday is our water line in the house, in the roof, blew.
Ooh,
Blue.
Yeah, we had a water leak in the house.
oh, wow.
So
That's never good.
Nope.
I know what I mean. Oh, okay. So we haven't had time to even wood turn.
Mm. Well, see, it's a good thing you didn't have your lathe in the living room, like Ralph suggested.
Yeah.
Yeah, or it would have been soaked.
Exactly.
So anyway, Dave, I don't know if you heard, I was telling Ralph that I've been working on a new format for the newsletter for next year.
Yep.
So
Yeah,
a
that's why.
whole new look.
That's why I mentioned maybe now we'll get some recognition. You know,
Ah.
they didn't like the format from before. Maybe they'll like this one.
Maybe.
Or I shouldn't say they didn't like it. They never
Yeah.
picked this as one of the 4 or 3 or whatever.
I think that's because we didn't give them enough of a shout out in our
Probably, you know,
newsletter.
I
Yeah.
thought about that, you know, because a lot of sites have the AAW logo on their homepage.
Yeah.
Yep, that could
No.
be.
So we probably need to add a page like that. You know.
Or what you could do is like Bizarro does in the comics.
Mhm.
You ever see Bizarro?
Yeah.
All his cartoon strips, they always have like a spaceship in a corner or an
Uh-huh.
eyeball somewhere else, you know.
Yeah.
You have the little AAW logo somewhere, you know.
Yeah. I moved our logo up into the upper left corner, and you know, and so you'll find the new format interesting. At least the cover sheet and the photo page. I mean, the individual gallery pages
Oh,
will be a
all
little
right.
bit different.
Very good.
So, got to try something different. So,
Yep. Very good, Brian.
and also for the December meeting, I've been working on a Christmas wish list page. You know, with just some gadgets. Hey, you know, here's this chalk available for these people, and that sort of thing.
Oh, that's good.
So I add that to the December newsletter.
Very good.
So if you have anything on your wish list that you recommend, you can let me know.
Yeah, I wish I could find some damn ammunition. That's what I wish.
Oh, whoa. He's talking about wood turning,
Yeah.
or like a wish list would be, you know, a day in the shop with Ozzy. Oh, there's Ozzy.
I got a new electric eraser.
Oh,
Ozzy.
you know, I still have the one. I came across it the other day when I was a draftsman many years ago.
Oh, yeah?
I had one of those,
Yeah.
an electric lead sharpener. I still have that, the wooden one where you push it down.
Yeah.
The force turns the blades. I still kept
Mhm.
that one. Yep, for that Mylar lead we used. I should say plastic lead that we used on Mylar.
Huh. Never heard
Yeah.
of that.
Yeah, that was the deal for government drawings years ago. You got to have that plastic lead, and it had to be on Mylar. I guess I figured Mylar was more durable than paper.
Huh. Interesting.
Yep.
Hi, everybody.
Hello.
Hey, Ozzy.
Ozzy, you're all over the place here.
Yeah, just trying to set up the lathe camera.
Oh, you're doing the demo tonight?
It's part 2. Pardue.
Oh,
Pardue.
Pardue. Pardue.
Don't give us the finger there, Ozzy.
Formidable. C'est un formidable. All right. Got the
Pardue.
wide shot and the close up. Wow, fancy.
Oh, Ozzy, I think I figured out what was wrong with the what do you call it? The air compressor.
All over the internet. Okay.
There's liquid inside the tank. I gotta do some maintenance on that. Try to get the liquid out.
It's a drain on the bottom of the tank.
Yeah.
Yeah, I gotta drain it.
Yeah, make sure you take all the air out of the compressor before you do it. Otherwise, it'll come out real fast.
Good evening, all.
The investor is here.
There's my dad.
Hey, Dad.
Hey, hey, don't confuse me here.
Uh-huh.
The blabbermouth is online, meaning him, not me.
Uh-huh.
That's what you can tell he takes after his mother.
Ooh,
Ooh,
I'm telling.
If she ever comes home. My daughter had another upset earlier this week.
oh,
Wound
wow.
up back in the emergency room.
Wow.
But
How's she doing?
oh, she's home now. But her blood pressure is still giving her problems, and the Coumadin level was a little bit lower than they wanted it at. You know,
Hmm.
it's just a wait and see thing for right now. So, you know, we wait and see.
Okay.
So how are you doing? Or y'all doing?
Hanging in there.
Yeah.
Kay made me something, a wood turning mask.
Yeah.
She made this out of wood. Well,
Yeah.
it's not really wood. It's tape that looks like wood. The only problem is you can't breathe with it. You know?
That might be a problem.
That may be the reason she gave it to me.
Yeah, we can't hear you either.
Yeah.
Yep. That could be it. I gotta check that insurance policy.
Okay.
Oh,
Yeah, that's my problem when I wear one of these masks. After a little while, it just seems like it's so wet in there.
You hear that?
Why does it look like? I guess it sort of looks weird because it's.
You hear that? A cricket.
Hey guys, good evening.
hey,
Good
Tiffany.
Hello.
How you doing tonight?
Good.
Good.
How are you?
Excellent. I'm good, thank you.
See, there's Mr. Bowser too. And Jan.
Howdy.
And now the question is, with that cricket, now is it one click or two clicks that if you click the wrong number, you get shot?
That's right. That's a World War II object that was issued to the infantry, and you push that at night if you click it once, and then the response is 2 clicks. I guess let me hold it next to the microphone.
Oh,
And so that's what you see in old World War II movies, this little thing called a cricket.
Wow.
That was featured in the Longest Day.
Right. Uh-huh. That's an actual one. That's my father's cricket.
Wow.
Called them Jiminy.
Yeah, Jiminy.
The Navy wasn't issued them in World War II, but my uncles in the Army probably had them.
Okay, that's good enough. I got it. The all right.
Hey, Dave, I see your stockings are hung with care.
All right.
That's a lot of stockings.
Yeah. Hold lots of wood shavings.
Yeah, the only problem I'm having is that
Holy
Whoa,
shit.
whoa. You need a bigger room.
Yeah. And deep pockets.
Yeah.
That's a lot of coal to buy for it.
Lump of coal, yeah.
Which one are you trying to mute? This one. I mean, it's low enough where it's not giving feedback. All right. Okay. Hi, everybody.
Hey, Oz.
Hey,
Hello.
Hi, Ozzy.
The Wi-Fi disconnected me as soon as I got onto the meeting, so I was like rushing back and forth.
Did you not pay the bill?
No, it's just I have an old Comcast modem that even with little Wi-Fi extenders around the house is kind of. Where my safety glass?
Now, is this the garage?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, this is my shop. It's very tiny. You see my bandsaw, and then the other side that you guys sort of saw was the workbench where I do the resin casting. The other half of it is actually outside in the back porch, but I don't really use it because, the work kind of dried up because of all this. So I'm just doing stuff turning now. You guys are actually on top of my laundry machines.
Oh,
Now, when you say outside, what do you have outside and what kind of work? Were you doing furniture work and stuff?
Yeah. I have my my saw stop is outside. My chop saw, my workbench, all that the big stuff for the cabinet boxes, all that's outside. I mean, it's torn down, but I could pop it up really. Actually, have hopefully some work will be coming in soon.
Now, what kind of lathe is that?
Oh, it's the Turncrafter Commander 10-inch,
Okay.
and I have the extension on it, so I could do like rolling pins and things like that. I've used this thing since it's my first lathe. I already had to change the whole headstock,
wow.
but they covered it.
What's the other lathe? Do you have another lathe too?
No, this is the only one I got. What I got just past lathe is my bandsaw. The Grizzly bandsaw.
By the way, for people with bandsaws, I just got some blades from Smith Hamilton. Unbelievably fair price.
Yep.
And the blades are wonderful. I mean, it's so nice to have a sharp blade.
Yep. Like any tool. Yep.
Do you just like if your blade goes bad, you just change it out, or you try to like sharpen it, or?
I gotta tell you, I was
Any
sharp.
blade?
I used to sharpen them, but at $10 a blade, and I've got a big bandsaw. It's 140 inches, and they're like $10 a blade. I'm not sure I'm going to spend an hour sharpening them.
Right. I had one. I was cutting up a little log, and I had my 3/8 width bandsaw blade caught the log. I was fine. My hands were away. It was nothing, but it sort of like stretched the blade, and when I get off the saw, it had an S curve in it.
Yeah, you can straighten it
So
out,
I'm like,
but
I don't think
it'll never cut right.
I don't think it's worth that.
No, it's But you got to be real careful cutting a round piece on a bandsaw. There's no support on the bottom. So either you get a V block or something like that, or clamp it up really good so you can hold it. Otherwise it's going to spin and it can pull your fingers. Think about a hand, riding a bicycle, keep your hands away from that blade, the handlebars. Otherwise it will pull in. And think about where you see a bandsaw most. You see a bandsaw most at Publix and at Winn-Dixie cutting up meat. So be careful.
Yeah.
A bandsaw
but-
can give you a catch that'll put a skew chisel to shame.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
they
I
don't
got to
have a
tell
soft
you, the blades that I got, it's called a furniture blade. And it was, I got a 3-tooth and a 4-tooth, 3/8 and a 1/4 inch. And geez, they're just beautiful. A nice smooth cut.
Did you go pick them up or did you have them sent to you?
It was right at the time when all stuff was happening and I had it sent to me. And, it cost maybe a little extra. But I may go, I'm going to order a bunch and just going up.
Yeah, but I mean, to drive up to Miami Airport, with tolls and everything else, it isn't that much more.
It's about $5, depending on how many. It cost me $10, $9 shipping. I think if I had ordered 3 or 4 bandsaw blades, it would have still been the same $10. So I've broken it down.
Yeah.
But I wasn't sure. I had used those blades years ago at school, and they were wonderful.
I'll tell you, I went there the first couple of times. And then after that, because whenever Waldo needs a bandsaw blade, of course, the club buys it for him. So we have it shipped to his house, and that's a lot easier than driving all up there is to pay that. It's not that much more. Like you said, if you buy 3 or more, it's a couple bucks each more,
Yeah.
Unless you want to drive in the traffic and the tolls and, go on Lejeune and 36th Street,
I mean, how much further away is that, like, from Shell Lumber?
Oh, it's a totally different. Shell Lumber is in the Grove.
Yeah, we're talking Miami International Airport.
Yeah.
No, it's actually up on about 58th Street and 37th Avenue.
30,
Right.
yeah.
Yeah, so like I say, if you went Lejeune to 36th Street and headed east, then you'd run into it.
Yeah, but they would take a while. It's easier to, to go up.
No, that one's gone, Dave.
It is,
The
right?
one on 36th Street,
Yeah,
that one's gone.
really?
They moved.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, that's been gone.
Because
Got to go way north.
Now, Ralph, when you went up north, did you go by the surplus tool place?
No, I went by DeWitt. Oh, and I
Oh.
stopped at DeWitt Tool up on 72nd Avenue and
Brayden, they're doing the demo on the
60.
acrylics
70?
tonight.
Wait a minute, that's right near that surplus place. by
It's
the
north
airport?
of Simmons.
Oh, okay.
Simmons is about 40th Street and DeWitt is about 65th.
Is the width the place that sells all the drill bits and all the machinery bits?
Yeah.
Oh, okay, yeah, I've been there. I buy my CNC bits there, and I bought really good, like, long drill bits. When you needed like a 1/2 inch, like extra long drill bit, they got them there.
Right. No, they got
yeah.
good stuff there and they got good prices.
Yeah.
I got a 3/4 drill bit with number 2 taper shank on it. And I got 2 pieces of drill rod and a couple of cutoff blades that I'm going to try and make a special tool out of for like $40.
Mm.
So,
I went over to the Judy. Is it Judy and Norse up in Davie and Southwest Ranches? They're selling the tools and stuff.
yeah.
I went Sunday, picked up a handful of tools from them and a bunch of wood to turn
When did you go up there?
on Sunday afternoon.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
What
He
did you
had that.
get? What did you get there besides wood?
a bunch of tools. I got a bunch of scrapers and a little what is this called? A skew.
Skew.
And they had a ton of. They actually had a great price for that lathe that he has there. The one that's for turning that you could turn while sitting down. He only wanted $1,000 for it. And it's a one-way lathe. That seems pretty reasonable.
Yeah, that's a $4,000 lathe.
Yeah, I didn't have room in the car or the pocketbook for it.
Well, the car we can take care of.
Yeah.
I'd like to mention something, just in case you're interested. If you want to, let's say Ozzy's talking, and you can't really see Ozzy because he's a thumbnail, but if you hover over, the thumbnail sketch of Ozzy, you'll see 3 dots in the upper right-hand corner. Select that, then hit pin video, and you'll see Ozzy on the whole screen.
Oh, cool.
That's just
Nice,
something.
thank you.
But in order to get rid of Ozzy in full screen, no offense, Ozzy, I haven't found an easy way to do it. So I go back and I hit gallery view. Then you got to go back to Ozzy again and hit unpin. The reason I say that is once Ralph spotlights him, I don't know how it's going to act with the spotlighting, but I mean, if somebody shows us something individually, once the spotlight is over, if you want to see it a little bigger, just go to that icon or that square, the upper right-hand corner where you see the 3 dots, select pin video, and you see that person in the whole screen.
And then in the upper left corner, right next to the unpin will be up there to remove the pin.
Yep.
There it is in the upper, mine on the Apple, it's in the upper left.
Oh, okay.
But no, thanks, David.
Yep.
Yeah, there you go. That's easier, much easier than hitting gallery or whatever. So no offense, Ozzy, I'm going to take you off the full screen.
Yeah. No, that's fine. I'll be switching to the lathe camera and probably talking into that one once we're ready to go, which I'm ready to go whenever you are, Ralph.
Okay, well, I guess there's no real, nothing's changed since the last meeting as far as events or going back to school or anything. So we're just kind of hanging out, doing what we've been doing, and something changes, we'll let everybody know. It's the end of the year, and nobody's stepped up to take the place of president. So, and it was also the end of the year. So I guess I'll start fussing at everybody. And I know you mentioned it, I think, on the newsletter, Brian, that dues are due as of next month. And
do we send them to David now?
Yes. Well, we actually, David, have you had a chance to get with Gary yet?
I have not. I thought
Okay.
that was something you were going to help coordinate, and didn't know he was back, but we can definitely do that and get that, see what the
Okay,
bank
yeah,
needs.
get that switched over.
Yeah,
So
but that, I'll put it in the newsletter, but don't you think it'd be a good idea just to have people start sending the checks to David Sigley?
yes,
I mean, he may not cash them, till he gets access to the account, but at least.
well, all he needs is the account number and he can deposit them just like I've been doing.
Right, I understand, but rather than have some checks go to Gary and some checks go to David, and David's updating the roster. So that's the only reason I'm making that suggestion.
No, they all need to go to David.
Right, and I'll put that in the newsletter.
Yeah, all dues checks need to be sent to David.
Hey,
And
don't forget to include his address.
what's that?
Include his address so we know where to send it.
Well,
whoa.
It's on the roster.
Okay. Well, if you're going to put it out in the newsletter, probably wouldn't hurt just to throw his address on there too.
I mean, you should, not just you, Pete, but everyone should have got at least 2 rosters in November.
Yeah, I did, but I'm just saying if you're going to add it, wouldn't hurt just to throw it on there right then and there.
Okay, I'll put my address when I send it to you, Pete, okay?
You want me to send you the check?
Sure.
Hey,
Just
David.
instead of the South Florida Word Turners Group, I'll just put it David
Piper Retirement Fund. How's that?
No, just cash. Make it to cash.
Okay.
Make it to
Now,
cash.
does David know that the last group of treasurers all ended up with a new lathe somehow?
Oh, no. We
No,
didn't tell
don't
him
tell
that.
him that.
Need a little bit bigger of a workshop first.
So I guess with that being said, it looks like,
Well, before you go there, Ralph, let me just mention this, if I may. I mean, you touched on it. You know, November is election of officers. I don't know if how many of you, Ralph, how many yeses did you get when you sent out the bylaws, the approval of the bylaws? So that's pretty much, I guess, that's approved, correct?
pardon?
The bylaws. You
Yeah,
sent out the bylaws to everybody, asking them to either approve or not approve.
yes,
So from what, I didn't hear it all from you, but I guess the bylaws are approved.
of course, they're approved.
Okay, that's, I just thought I'm sure everybody read that and knows what's going on. So
Well-
according to the bylaws, what we all agreed to, that's, I guess everyone here agreed to it, is that if the president and vice president want to stay on for another 4 years, it needs a vote of 51% of the members. Was everyone aware of that? Did you read it or? Okay, whatever,
Well, I guess we'll have to send out another email.
I guess. So I guess that vote should have happened this year, but I guess nobody. So I guess January 1st, we vote on who's the president, vice president's going to be.
Well, shouldn't we ask the president and the vice president if they want to stay on for another 4 years? Are they interested?
Exactly.
That's part of it.
This is not a democracy. They're
But I
staying
think-
on.
Tiffany,
They did a great job, so it's.
Yay!
Yeah, but to Tiffany's point, according to Ralph, nobody's come forward and said that they wanted to be president or vice president. So nobody's come forward and said they wanted to.
No,
According to the bylaws, if they need to continue on, we need to have a vote and it has to be 51%.
Can we get dead people and people from the 1800s to vote on this too?
anybody that wants to, if you want to vote 2 or 3 times, that's okay, no problem.
And then
Ew.
then in February, we'll call it a fraud and a recount.
Exactly. I need some campaign financing though. Send me some money, please.
But I think Ralph is the way that well, whatever you want to do it. But we'll vote on it in November at the meeting.
Why not January's meeting?
That's what I meant, January, sorry. November's gone.
November's gone.
Yep.
Or by email.
Well, we still have this
Yeah.
month, so send an email.
Yeah.
Email doesn't work and you can't do that email again. Yeah, it can't be an email.
What?
Why?
Because then you have to track that 51% of it.
No, you don't. You do it very simply.
That's what
You
the
do it.
bylaws state, David.
No, we will have 51%. But you do it very, very simply. You write in the thing that if you approve this, you don't have to do anything, that
No,
it's
that-
automatically approval. If you don't agree with it, you have to vote no.
Yeah, I don't buy that, sorry.
Well, it certainly works. Otherwise, you're going to have a
All right.
problem.
All right, I won't bring it up again. No problem. Okay, Ralph, it's all you.
All right, so anybody else got anything they want to say?
Not anymore.
Okay.
Dave, let me ask Dave what his suggestion would be.
No, that's it.
And where's your
51%.
picture, by the way? Now I only see your name.
Because my face was red. Anyways,
What would you suggest?
at least if we're saying that we have to have 51% approve it, you can't go by the bylaws. The bylaw said 51% have to say they approve. So
No,
you
they
can't
have
say
to vote
51
that they approve.
Let's not get into this discussion here.
Good idea.
Yeah, let's wait till January. We'll go from there.
So
Yep.
Ready, Ozzy?
End of story.
Yes, sir. If you could make me co-host.
I'm doing that right now.
Okay, so I could share. I mean, I got only one little illustration to share this time.
I'm making you the host.
Yes. Hopefully the right one is host. Well, if not, I could always fix it.
Well, I did the one on you, not your.
The one on me, yes.
Yes.
That's perfect.
The one on you. Okay.
All right. Perfect. Let me see if I could try something here. That is interesting. Okay. All right. So, turning resin. I'm gonna have a few
All right,
different.
are you gonna spotlight, or are you gonna pin, or what are we gonna do?
Oh, okay. Hold on a second. Let me spotlight myself. Then there you go.
There
okay.
we go.
Oh, it's great. Okay. So, turning resin. Resin doesn't have a grain structure like wood. So, you know, wood, we got to respect the grain. Doesn't matter if we're wood turning, cutting, planing. With resin, that doesn't exist unless you have like some sort of hybrid blank. And then, yes, you might have to follow the grain, but most of the time what we cast in resin are burls. And everybody pretty much knows burls have the grain going in every direction, or they act more like end grain. So it depends how you turn into them. So what I wanted to share is what made my turning resin a little bit easier was understanding the type of, let me see. Okay. So, and let's try this. Here we go. Did that help any? Are you guys hearing an echo? Yes, no? No, okay, good. So what I want to share with you is, this is actually, I took this picture off of a website, but it's a really good illustration of how what these cutters look like. So does everybody see this? And I can't really tell because I, hold on a second. Let me try it this way. We're going to try this again.
You had it up there.
There we go. Yeah. No, I took it off because I couldn't see you guys when I shared the screen. All right. So there we go. Now I can see you guys. Okay. So this is a standard carbide cutter. These guys can be sharpened. You could sharpen them on a diamond stone. They're flat on top, and you only sharpen them flat. So if you were to use one of these, which you can turn resin with, you have to impart your own negative rake angle. So everybody understands what a negative rake scraper is here. But with the carbide cutter, you can also purchase them with the negative rake cut in already, or machined in, better said. You can't sharpen these. You can sharpen these, but the negative rakes you can't sharpen them, but they last a very long time. I still have an old one, which was the first one I had, which I kind of abused. It lasted months, and it's still good. It's just a matter of, I bought a new one because it was on sale. So this, you can see now, this is a square one or radius. Both of these are sort of radius square. Those are good for roughing out. I like using the round ones, and I'll show you once I switch over to the lathe what that looks like. So let's go over there, and I'm going to try to stop the audio issues. I'm gonna switch over to that camera. Let's see. Remove spotlight, and now let's find this camera. Okay, spotlight for everyone. All right, so everybody sees the lathe, and I'm gonna shut off the audio here. Okay. Now there's an echo. All right, there shouldn't be an echo now. But do you all hear me? Can I get a thumbs up that you guys can hear me through the phone? All right, good. Okay. So I'm actually gonna show you some of the tools I use. Now this is like the lower end easy wood tools. It's short handle, made for like pen turning. This is a negative rake on a diamond tool or diamond point. And Right now, I have, this is one of my favorite tools. It's the Easy Wood, the CI5. They call it the #1 hollower. It's a very small cutter. And right now, this cutter has the regular carbide cutter. We're going to switch that out. And we're going to put a brand new cutter that I just got, like I said. Now, the only annoying part about these versus some of the more economical carbide tools is these guys got a big Torx on there. These come with a very tiny Allen, so you do have to be cautious to not break them. We're gonna flip this one around. Now, if anybody has any questions, feel free to pause me and ask. And while I do this, you can also turn with regular tools, and we're going to start off with that, more traditional wood turning tools. And I do on occasion do that, but there's certain things you got to keep in mind when you do that. And unfortunately, the diamond tool, it's two sides, but you know, you'll still have a fresh edge normally. Okay. Put this away. So this you just flatten on a diamond plate, sort of in a circular fashion. You know, I put a little bit of Windex on there, and it leaves a good finish. And it's brand new. Basically, once you do that, it's sharpened. There we go. Switching that on. So we'll put this away. If you order from, I think it's called the Wood Turning Store, they give you a little pouch to put your cutters in. So that's a good way to not lose them, because you can lose them in the sawdust. Okay, so with traditional tools, though, they have to be very sharp, because the resin does tend to dull them out a little bit. If you're going to be turning anything that's got wet wood with one of these carbide cutters, especially the ones with the small screws, they recommend you get a little bit of wax, like an old candle stick or something, and just wax the screw so it doesn't bind on you and you don't break it off. Because really, the most expensive part of a carbide tool is the bar and the handle. You know, their handles are pretty nice. So I'll just lay this to the side off camera. Put that there. So what we're turning today, and I know everybody's done bottle stoppers, but I figure bottle stopper is a good way to sort of get the idea of what. Start with this one because I want to show you how the traditional tools work, but I also have these that are round. I cast these in round pipe. They are gold leaf, just clear resin and gold leaf. People like that, I guess. And then we have this one's got a square edge. So we got our, you know, everybody knows how to rough out blank, but like I said, resin has its uniqueness to it. One thing I will mention, safety glasses, breathing protection. I use this mask. I'm not going to right now so you guys can hear me talk, but once I get into the regular using the carbide, I may use this. And I am going to switch out to a face shield because resin and acrylic and plexiglass, if you turn that, I mean, anything that's plastic, instead of tearing out like wood does where it chips away, it tends to shatter. So you don't want those shards of plastic basically flying at you. I'll give you an example. And I showed this when we did the demo. That was the casting demo. This was a blank I did with flower petals. Well, the flower petals didn't adhere at all. As you can see, it started sending shards apart. So this became dangerous. This is a bomb. I mean, this will blow up on you on the lathe. So you don't want to you know, you want to be careful. Have face shield, all those things. I'll show you now. I thread my bottle stopper blanks that are made of resin straight into the resin. It's very strong. But if you don't feel comfortable with that, you could use the insert. And the way I glue in the inserts to resin is just like I would glue them into Spectra ply or plywood, is a 5-minute epoxy. Simple as that. But I'll be honest, I started threading them straight into the resin, and even on the clear ones, it doesn't look bad. Like it worse it would look if you added to something like this that was clear. If you added 5-minute epoxy, which tends to yellow, you'd have a big old yellow thread thing there. It just, you know, I think it looks nicer like this. You can put some CA glue in there to strengthen the threads, which I used to do. I don't think I even need to do that. It's not necessary. So we're gonna start turning this and take off the corners on this blank, and then we're gonna turn one of the other blanks just so you guys can see how that goes. Take these off. It's funny, there's a gentleman, the one that this store, Spirecraft, he does these live stream turns on Monday, and he wears like this type of smock, which I got from him, and this face shield. I'm like, am I playing dress up? So we start with a regular roughing tool. Now, I haven't run this. If it's too rough, I'll sharpen it 1 second. So to rough it, I'm not going too crazy. I actually can bring in tailstock support also, just to not get any chatter, because you'll get some chatter when it's off the tailstock support. And we'll put it about, I have the lathe set to the lower gear, so we're gonna go about 700.
What speed is that, Ozzy?
So you can see right there, it starts to sort of shatter off. Mm-hmm. If you don't want to go through this part of the process, you could sand the corners off on a belt sander. That'll help. Something I like to do is I also get my parting tool, and I get my ends round, so I know where to. Yeah, about 700 RPM is right. I get my ends round, so then I can know where to go with the roughing gouge. Now with resin, you know you're round or close to round when you start seeing ribbons come off versus chips. So once I kind of get to where I need to go, now I know I can go a little bit. And you can go faster with resin. So you can tell it's kind of like glass, sort of. coming off. I'm going to sharpen this, and I'm going to show you how you get rid of that with a traditional tool. Switch back out to your glasses here. Yeah. And resin, if you don't like getting your shop covered in shavings, which who doesn't, you know, because of your wood turners, resin will send your flakes everywhere. It would help if I plugged in the grinder. So just a quick little buzz on the grinder. And if you haven't tried turning left-handed, I learned something that was kind of interesting. It's I actually turn a little smoother left-handed. Don't know why, but especially for roughing, it really helps get a smooth cut. So as you can see, we're basically round enough for this part, and you do get a very smooth cut once you have a very sharp tool. So what you want is, I don't know if it comes through, avoid this with resin. And especially if you're dealing with pen blanks, I have some pen blanks here. You know, pen blanks will be very thin, even to begin with. If you have a gouge into your acrylic pen blank, you might not be able to recover from that. So that's something to keep in mind. I actually love the color of this, so maybe we'll turn this one, because the round ones are just, you know, I don't know what looks better on camera. I think this one goes. So we'll stick with this one. So we'll finish roughing this one out, and then we'll start doing our shaping. Move our tool rest a little bit. Still have a little bit of a flat spot, so we'll get rid of that. Okay, that we could work with. So you can get a pretty good cut. So that's not bad. What I will show you is, if we have a little bit of room to waste, I never make my bottle stoppers this long, obviously. This is about 3 inches, is how a spindle gouge can be used. So you could round over the corner. So, yeah. So it does cut it. No, it prefers to be scraped. So resin, like I said, doesn't have grain structure. It prefers to be scraped. And you're going to see the difference now once we bring out the bigger tool. We're going to go for one of my more traditional like shapes. I like this shape is one I've been using lately. So we're going to do that. Actually, we are good off that part. So we can switch back over here. Where's our easy wood tools? Okay. All right. So any questions so far? No? Let me see in the chat. There you go. Perfect. Yeah. All right. So they're going to start shaping. Now, you know, bottle stopper, same thing. We go down to the mandrel. So I like to work there first. And now I turn up the speed as well. And you also, with a carbide cutter, negative break, you don't have to, you just keep a neutral position. You can tell that a new cutter really makes a difference. You do periodically have to clear out some of the shavings. So you can see what you're doing. Now resin turning, the smell is not fun, but you know. Now I don't go all the way down strictly on that because I got to do some sanding. So we're going to establish our shape. And resin, you could use a pencil and resin to mark where you're going to be doing it, but it kind of doesn't really write well, you know, I guess. So I just get like a little scratch all, and I just, you know, sort of spin, and I have my mark where I want to go. And then I usually put a little cove in here and just, you know, randomly pick a cove. And again, I don't use the whole stopper. And I will show you a stopper later that I made with the extras that are left over. So something to this effect, you know, whatever you're more comfortable with. So also the cutter that we switched out, this guy, I do something with now where I don't want to take the bulk away with the round cutter, just wears them out, you know. So we're going to do this. We're going to put some little grooves in, and then we start shaping. So yeah, this is kind of the annoying part of resin. Now, again, we mentioned that if you're dealing with a hybrid blank, you do need to worry about your grain if you're using traditional tools. If you're using the negative rake scraper, you shouldn't have an issue. It'll go right through it. But some things I've turned with resin, like the cholla cactus, does tend to splinter out. So you have to be cautious about that. So don't be too aggressive. we're just doing some rough shaping. We're not worrying too much about this. We will refine at the end to make sure we don't have any tool marks. So carbide cutters, they don't, not that they don't take any skill, it's just a different type of turning, so to speak. Let me, hopefully this isn't too loud, sorry. Make sure you guys can see everything. So now I will start getting ready to do the top, and I like to cut off that piece with just a regular parting tool. Might be a little dull on the parting tool. All right, so let's work on the top. So now I'm running about 1,000 RPM. So I'm going about as fast as I could go on the low end. You can switch to the higher end of your lathe without a problem. You know, you're secure. This shouldn't have anything coming off. I don't have obviously dust collection on. How does it taste? Your brush your teeth. You know what? Since I usually wear a mask, I don't get to experience the taste of resin. Today I will. So I'll let you know. That's funny. So I use this just to start shaping. Once I break this off, I can asking for a friend. I could finish the top or round it off with the carbide tool. All right. So turning resin, just like turning most things, is actually pretty fast. Especially something like a bottle stopper. You're doing a box, something like that. Maybe it might be a little more time consuming. What takes time is what you're going to see next, which is the sanding part. I'm not going to bore you with sanding, but I'm going to explain my process. So off here a little bit. We'll get my spindle gouge that I have. I try to grind this to the way Cindy Drozda recommends, which she uses the 25-40 platform. So it's 25 angle and 40 degree set platform. So it gives you a nice little like edge. So sometimes I'll round. So it's actually pretty efficient to do, especially if you want to, get some smooth surface. And depending on the shape, if you go, this shape is pretty standard, but if you go with something a little too elaborate, you might have a little more trouble getting a smooth finish. But take it to the mandrel, and then just slowly bring it. And you can tell the ribbons we're getting are very thin, so we're just touching with a very small part of the cutter. And this is crucial with resin. If anybody's turned a acrylic pen blanks knows that this is pretty crucial. You do not want tool marks, because if you have to sand with heavy grit to get the tool marks out, you're gonna gouge the resin. It's just gonna happen. Let me sharpen my parting tool real quick. The benefit of doing a demo in your own shop, you have your grinder right behind you. So that surprised me. Now I don't part it off till it drops, you can, but I have a little pull saw. It's one of these little guys, and just sorry if the camera shakes. It falls right off. This is really good if you're turning wood and you don't want to have tear out at the end of a bottle stopper or something like that, a finial. You got to cut off your bit. You cut it off with a pull saw. They have different ones. I like this one because I had it from regular work. So, all right, we're gonna pull our tailstock out of the way so we don't shove it into our shoulder or our elbow, I mean. So now, we may experience some chatter, so that's kind of par. So just take little cuts. And I dropped the tool there. So if I'm not too happy with the end there, which I kind of am, but if I weren't, I can then come back with this cutter and use the flat edge to sort of shear scrape it. So it's almost like using you could use this too. Now we're holding it flat like if it was negative rate. There you go. Let's see how that finish came out. So that's pretty good. Actually, that's really nice. So you can use a skew as well. So this is basically kind of like using a skew but cheating because it's a carbide cutter. Now I do want to fix this little lip right here. And then that is basically it. And as you can see, this is a very nice looking piece of resin. So let me clear up here because I want to show you guys the sanding is where it gets a little interesting.
Ozzy, is that a crack or something? If you
Hold
look
on,
at the top,
hold on, let me put the volume because I can't hear. There we go. You're saying?
is that a crack on the top or just a coloration? No, turn.
No, that's not a crack.
Right.
That's actually white resin. So what I did with these blanks, this was something I learned after we did our demo. If not, I would have done it during our demo. Is you could pour clear resin like you see in this one, and then mix up a bunch of colors. I've actually mixed, I think, like 7 colors here, I mixed like 6 colors here. This was poured in the same moment. And what you do is you drizzle them in once the resin's almost getting ready to set, and it gives you what they call a graffiti look. So that's what this is. So that's actually a ribbon of white in there. So that's something that I remember Dave Piper mentioned when we were doing the resin casting part, is sometimes you'll get to your final product and what you saw on the outside isn't there anymore. So you have to take that into consideration when you cut your blanks, and you, especially if you're threading them, and like in the case of like these flake ones, you could tell the flake sank. So I wouldn't want to thread it here where it's going to be less flake. I want to thread it where I can get the most amount. So that's why that looks like a crack. It's kind of neat, a neat effect. So I'm not going to show you how the whole process of sanding, but I do want to give you a little rundown. And what I usually do in my process is I'll turn a few, take them off since, we're working on a mandrel, don't have to reset anything. And then I'll just come back and sit there and sand. I'll sit on my stool and sand for a few hours. And I wanted to show you all, because I have the process. So this bottle stopper has been sanded with regular sandpaper. It's only went to 320, but I normally go from the tool marks to this surface from 180 grit. And this is crucial, no less than 180 grit. I've tried 150, and it's a little too rough. If you go down to 120 or 80, you're going to gouge your resin, and you're never going to get those out with the higher grits. So this is from 180. I stopped at 320 because I did this right before the demo. But I go up to 800. Some people will go up to 1,000. I don't feel the need because of the second part of my process. It's not necessary to go that high. So, I'll do the first grit. That's fine, 80 grit here. And I wet sand the whole way. So I'll wet sand from the lower grits all the way up to the last grit. I don't dry sand. It's not worth it. You don't have to wear a respirator for it. You just got to put a little towel down, and I put one of these resin dishes that didn't come out right. I just put it there. And the main rule of sanding that I learned the hard way about resin is, and this applies to wood as well, I guess, is work your hardest on the first grit. You want that first grit to do all the cleanup. If you leave tool marks or anything on the higher, or past the first grit, you're never going to get them out. So real simple. Go back and forth. Like I said, I won't go through the whole process, but after I go remove my tool marks, ideally, and any knobs or little points that are left, then I sand, like Dave mentioned, pen turners know this, is you sand sort of long ways, longitudinal, like wood with the grain, if it was wood. And you just go, and I turn my lathe backwards. If you have a lathe in reverse, that also helps. Or you have a reverse on your lathe, better said. And then, just kind of do it. And I spend a few minutes on that 180 grit. Now, you saw the little bit we went by. We already got most of our tool marks out of there. So we're pretty good. If you clean your resin with denatured alcohol, it'll dry and you see your scratches very quick. So then I go all the way to 800. When I get to 800, that's when I move on to the second half. And some people, and I used to do the same thing, would use a polishing or a sanding paste, like this stuff. You can, at 800, you could use this, but it's not going to get you the finish you want. It just doesn't happen. If you want a very good finish, you need to go into polishing cloths. So these are the 3M Trimite, wet or dry polishing abrasive. So They call it on Amazon zone up paper. You can see the grids. So they don't stack them in here in the right order, but basically it's the green, which is the top one, is 400. It's not really 400 because you're not going back in grids, but it's a fine 400. I think it's equivalent to like 1,000 or 1,200 grid actually. Then you have their gray, their blue, and you really get up all the way to 8,000 with the last one. Most people will stop at the blue, and they're good, happy with that. I suggest try it and see if it's something that interests you. But these make a world of difference. These are also wet sanded. And what I do is, because I hate remembering what they are, is I will on the back, because there is a difference inside, and I don't know if anybody could tell. On the back, I'll put a number. 1, 2, 3, all the way to 6, right? The side that's abrasive is this side. So it's this, you know. But on the 6 or the 8,000, I mean, it's white on both sides. It's hard to tell. So if you don't put that number, you know, and I use these little strips, and basically I will proceed to sand. I'll demonstrate, but I don't think it'll work because of the fact that we didn't go all the way to 800. But I do have a one to show you, but it's pretty simple, you know. Now, depending how intricate your design is on your bottle stopper, or let's say your resin turning, you'll have to, you know, fold these, kind of tuck them in, do different things to get them in there. So now, and again, that was just for demonstration purposes. I would normally not jump, but you could start seeing a difference. So what does it look like after you've gone to 800 and after you've polished to 8,000? Gonna look like this. So see if I could get a good, don't know if it'll focus, but you see there's a shine to it. And this was actually the one I mentioned that I made up of cutoffs. What I did is I stuck these into the pipe mold that I have, and in between each layer I poured resin. And then I put it in the pressure pot and it stuck. So one thing that's key, and I don't know if you realize, even though I went to 8,000, there's a scratch there. So you don't have the same problems I had when I learned to do this, which was I would end up getting almost all the way to polishing on the wheels, and then I would end up stuck having to go all the way back to like 400 grit to get that scratch out. So if you take your time, you can get a very good finish. And I will show you what that is. Let me remove this right here. So this right here, that finish is polished off the resin. I did not finish it with CA glue. You know, I didn't, I stabilized the wood, so that has some sort of like resin in it, but I didn't finish it with CA glue or anything. That's the shine off the polishing wheel. So the last step that's a little different from normal wood turning that I have, and I'm gonna go fetch that, is from this point, from the point where I have polished to here, now I go to my buffing wheels. So if you have the Beal buffing system, you're gonna have a triple E wheel, which is, this is why I don't do this step, by the way, because this is triple E. So I rather just, I do it on the wheel anyways. So you do the triple E wheel, then I do the white diamond wheel. But if it was a wooden product, let's say, something I'm making that's out of wood, the last wheel would be wax, correct? I don't do wax for resin, and I'll show you what I do. I use the soft buff, the number 3, the one that would be for wax. I use this buff, but I buff it with this product. It's called, let's see if I get it in shot, McGuire's 105. So McGuire's 105 is like a plastic polish, but it's made for cars. This is what leaves that finish on the resin. This is like, this was night and day. When I started doing products with resin, and I would get a really nice finish off the white diamond, but it just didn't have that you know, that specialness that it's supposed to have. This made the difference. So what I do is normally I just put a little bit on a paper towel. I wipe it on the bottle stopper, the piece of resin, and I polish it. Since you're dealing with the soft wheel, you know, you don't have to, you could be pretty aggressive. And that's where you end up with this finish. You know, so the one thing I will mention, so the wood though, when you're doing a hybrid blank, will not technically look the same as the resin. It'll be shiny, but it won't be as polished. So if you want the wood to be just as polished as the resin, you do have to add a finish. The finish I recommend, in that case, is CA finish. Whichever one you prefer. I use the one that everybody's kind of using on YouTube, Starbond. I use that. But you can use whichever one you want. Now, do keep in mind, if you're going to do a CA finish, if you've wet sanded, give it time to really dry, because CA finish can react with the water, the moisture, especially if you have a hybrid blank where you might have, wood might have gotten some moisture, and it'll give you a haziness. And then you got to start all over the process, sand it down, get rid of that. And it's become such a pain to do because I wet sand that I almost skip the CA finish. And I've learned to like the wood just looking a little bit of a different tone. So that's basically it. Turning resin is quick. Now, again, you don't have to have an easy wood tool. There's other companies that make negative break cutters. I think Rycon makes them. You could use your traditional tools, make sure they're super sharp. And resin likes to be scraped. So if you have a traditional negative break scraper, these are my little box scrapers. You know, it's got a skew end, and it's got a little end to go into. So when you're making the lid for the box, it allows you to go in straight. This is negative break. I use this on resin with no problem. It's a pain to sharpen because you got to mess with your platform. As you can tell, I kind of just did the edge and then gave up on trying to get that whole thing sharpened there. The facet doesn't matter. So you can use negative break tools. They're perfectly fine, be it you know, a round cutter, you know, or you know, the kind that's used for the inside of a box, and a little square one. That's fine. These are regular scrapers, but yeah, you can have them negative break. I will use a regular scraper sometimes if there's a lot of wood. In the blank that we did last time, this giant blank, I don't know, it doesn't even fit in the camera. Here we go. This giant blank has a lot of wood in it. So yeah, I would use traditional tools to try to get the shape done and then just refine it with that. So that's pretty much it. Let me switch over to the other camera because let's see. We'll mute here.
Hey, Ozzy, I got a question for you.
Okay. So
I do. Ozzy, I got a question for you.
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, that polishing compound you just showed, McGuire's, I believe.
Yes.
Have you tried that on wood to see if it does anything?
I haven't, but I do have my experience with it on wood is kind of, it's hit or miss because what'll happen if I have a hybrid blank, and the blank itself has like dark wood in it, the McGuire's will penetrate the grain because it's white. So if you seal the wood, yeah, I have no doubt that it'll polish up pretty high finish, depending on what your finish is. I'm assuming lacquer or something that's a hard coat, or even resin. If you've resin coated your turning, yeah, it should polish up real nice. The one thing I will warn you against that I've tried on a few occasions, I've tried. Let me see. Am I still spotlighted over here? I am. So I've tried polishing it straight onto the turning, with a cloth, and it can burn on you. It'll start to catch, and it'll burn. It becomes too aggressive. This stuff is really aggressive. They have one higher, 205, which is supposed to be for that final finish on a car. I haven't tried that one because I don't need to get that fine of a finish. That one you might be able to use directly on the lathe with no issue.
Okay.
So that could be it. Now, if I don't know, I made some blanks. I don't know if anybody would like to try, if they haven't tried turning, that if you guys want, you're more than welcome to have, or we could do a little giveaway. I don't know what Ralph thinks. But I have, I'll show you. I have these pen blanks that are, you know what, let's remove this guy. I have these pen blanks that are clear swirl. I don't know if you guys can see it. Let me see. Hold on. Let's try that again. Okay, here we go. So these are clear swirl. They have white, but the white's strictly on the bottom. So when you turn it, it won't look like that. It'll look like this. I have two of those. Cut from the same block. And then I have these, which is done in a similar fashion, but with different colors. So these are bottle stopper blanks, obviously. And these are pen blanks or handle blanks, because they're actually 1 inch by 1 inch. So you could turn a handle for an ice cream scoop or something. But we'll remove the spotlight here and go back over here. If anybody would like them, or I don't know if they want to do, you guys polishing there. Okay, that one was funny, Pete. I missed that part of the chat. Yeah, we don't want to get flagged by I was gonna say by YouTube, but by anybody. So if anybody's interested, these, free of charge. I'll mail them to you and everything. If you want to try your hand at turning either some pens out of resin or some bottle stoppers. And hopefully soon, I haven't done that big blank because I don't really know what I want to do with it. I may make a box, but I was thinking a vase. I don't know. We'll see. It might be some sort of art piece. So I think that's the end of my demo. If there's any other questions, I'll be here, and let me move back to Ralph.
Yeah, I have a question for you, Ozzy.
Yeah, go for it, Dave.
Say, I think you may have done it just because of the demo, because you dried off your blank in between your wet sanding, just to show us how it looked. But you keep your blank acrylic wet the whole time you're sanding?
Okay, so there's two different thoughts on that.
Okay.
You can go through the grits when you're wet sanding and not stop. Especially, I do it with the polishing cloth, with the Zona paper, the 3M. I don't stop to dry it because that doesn't really release grit. But one thought is that a lot of the guys that do big resin turnings that need to be absolutely sure that there's no scratches on them, they will stop between grits and wipe it down with denatured alcohol, let it dry, and double check that all their scratches are gone from the previous grit. Not applicable to pens, probably not applicable to bottle stopper, but there's nothing more frustrating than sanding to the higher grits, getting ready to polish, and to see a scratch deep inside the resin. There's a YouTuber that I learned a lot of the resin turning from and some of the casting from. His name is Zach Higgins. He says if you want to learn to polish resin, try polishing dark resin. It is exceedingly frustrating because it picks up the scratches like you would not believe. So if you ever see a resin art piece or a resin sculpture or whatever with dark resin, like purple or dark colors, that thing had some work put into it. So that's just my process. Like I mentioned before, casting with resin I've done for a few years already. Actually, turning resin I've only done since the pandemic started. So I've kind of learned at a condensed pace how to do it well, quickly. But I still wouldn't consider I'm doing it great because I'm still learning. But let me go back to
Ozzy, are you using water when you're wet sanding?
Yes. Yeah, just regular water. Some people recommend distilled water for wet sanding. I don't know exactly why. Like nobody said, oh, distilled water. This is the reason. Nobody's giving me a reason. I use Miami-Dade tap water. I've used it to make beer. I could use it for sanding, you know?
Good to know.
Yeah. I don't see what's special, but if you feel that there might be a hard water problem, and maybe that's why people are afraid, I don't know. I guess try it. The only thing I suggest is anything you've seen me do, try it for yourself and see how you like it, and then change your process. I was talking with these wood turners from Broward when I went up there to purchase some tools. Is I came to the conclusion as wood turners, we like to figure out problems. I think it's more fun to figure out how to hold a piece of wood on the lathe than actual turning it. So you can figure it out. Ralph, I made you host again, so.
Yeah. Hey, got a question for you then. You keep calling yourself a wood turner, but are you a plastic turner?
I think I'm more of a plastic turner, yeah.
Yeah.
Not plastic how it was thought about in the 80s, though. And remember that? They say if somebody was plastic, they were real fake. Not like that. But yeah. I would venture to say the majority of the stuff I turn is resin because it's what people really like. I mean, for this weekend, I did a little sale on Instagram, and everything I had was resin sold out. The wood items I have, I still have. So it's what people like right now. And if you want to start a YouTube channel, I think people love watching these things fly up in the air. They love watching that. I don't know why, because it's just a thing that it's very popular right now on YouTube.
Ozzy, have you ever tried
Tried what?
using a spray bottle?
Oh yeah, for the water, you mean?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I haven't, but yeah, you could do that. The only reason I haven't done that is my lathe. I don't know this cast iron lathe, the ways. If a little drop of water lands on them, it starts to rust right away. So if I start spraying water, it's gonna rust away on me. But now I just dip it. I do, as you saw, there was 2 different cups. I do not. And I forgot to mention this. I changed the water between the sandpaper, and the polishing cloths. So I do keep the water different because just you might have grit that sort of transfers over through the water. But yeah, a spray bottle would work with no problem. You could put denatured alcohol in the spray bottle to clean off the things. Be real good. Just stay away from any flames.
No, when I'm doing any of the acrylic pens, I use a spray bottle, but I use mineral spirits
Oh yeah, that too.
instead of water.
Yeah.
But I use those other. I don't use those papers like you got. I got those little pads.
Micro mesh pads.
I'm not sure what they are, but you cannot use mineral spirits with them, and they'll delaminate. They have a foam backing in them. They got abrasive on both sides. I don't know if you've seen those.
I have used those because I actually had them left over from the polishing the model parts that I would cast out of resin. The only problem is I feel like at least the ones I got, maybe they're not the brand name ones, were a little too cheap for the lathe. They would get too much friction and end up
burning
up on the lathe.
Yeah, you got to be really careful with them.
Right. I haven't had that problem with these cloths. These polishing cloths from 3M are amazing. And like I said, this pack I bought on Amazon for like $11, and well, you could see how much I've actually, it went up to here was the whole pack. I've only used so much because I cut them into little squares, and it doesn't matter how fast you go. Actually, as I'm getting to the higher grids, I've gone into turning up the speed of the lathe because I'm not really cutting, just polishing, and it gets a really nice polish with those cloths. But the micro mesh will work. Actually, it's very popular for resin and acrylic. Yeah. The mineral spirits I haven't tried. I have tried sanding with walnut oil instead of water. I wasn't happy with the results, but it really shouldn't make a difference. You could do that too if you're used to it. Like I sand everything I turn out of wood, I sand with walnut oil because I use a walnut oil friction polish. So sometimes it's easier to just go straight to that, but it does, experiment doesn't really make a difference in the grits, I guess. It's the grits. It's just how you keep your sandpaper clean between grits.
Right.
Yeah. And just talking about that spray bottle, Ralph and Ozzy, what I find whenever I drill acrylic, whether it's a bottle stopper or a pen blank on the lathe, I'd have a spray of water, and I'll spray the drill, and start the drill in there, and then spray inside, spray the hole, and spray the drill again, and just back it out. And I mean, before I started doing that, sometimes I got carried away and just take that drill and go through the acrylic, and when that gets hot, that's hard to get out that melted piece of plastic that's in your blank. But that was pushing it. I shouldn't have done it that way. Should have drilled and backed it off. But whenever I drill acrylic, whether it's a bottle stopper or a drill, spray it with water. Spray the hole where the drill's going in, and there's never any problems.
Yeah, that's actually key in these smaller blanks.
Yep.
Where you could create a lot of friction with the heat of the drill, even on the lathe. Because I do all my drilling on the lathe after I got rid of my drill press. It's just easier to do it on here. Yeah, I blow air into it.
Yep.
And back the drill out, and that sort of cools it. But if you're doing a long drill, like for a pen, like Dave says, yeah, definitely wet it because you could run into some trouble. I haven't seen it happen, but you could even snap the acrylic blank apart, if it gets too hot. Most good resins won't do that, but it can happen.
Yep.
Let me see. Is there any questions in the chat that I might have missed? Thank you. Okay. One thing I would like to mention, because I noticed it. So the Easy Wood Tools, right now, they're on sale at Craft Supply. So they have 15% off. So if you're looking to purchase one of the handles, like one of the tool handles, even if it's the little ones, just to do little small resin things, right now is a good time to buy them. Yeah, I think it's this week, Cyber Week. They have 15 and 25% off. So it's really good. And also, like what I do is when they're having those sales, when I buy my cutters. And I always have like an extra cutter in like the little pouch. So that's if you're interested in trying an easy wood tool. They have a weird range in their tools. So you just go with what you're comfortable with, I guess. I don't see a real need for a giant handle unless you're hollowing with that tool, which I do use for hollowing quite a bit. But for just turning a bottle stopper, you could get the regular round cutter tool, the little one, and put a negative rate cutter, and you would be set. You wouldn't need any other carbide tool. Oh yeah, the wood turning store. Yes, they also are having a sale. Yeah, that's who I actually order my cutters from, for the most part, and who I've ordered a lot of like my turning tools from. But I just noticed because I got the Craft Supply email today that they had it too. So it's also a possibility. So I think that's it for me, at least, unless there's something else. I do have to go grab something for show and tell that's not resin related, surprisingly enough.
So what do you got to show?
Hello, Ralph.
Yeah. So I thought he was
You're
going to show us something.
No.
So anybody got anything else they want to share? Anything they want to show?
Yep.
Yeah.
All right, Dave Piper.
All right. Let me wait for Ozzy to get back, but that will do something else first. I've been messing around with the macadamia, and like we said a couple times before, make sure you get rid of the pith. So I've got some smaller pieces here with no pith. I don't know if you can see it. You got me? Can you see this?
Yeah.
All right. You can see the pattern there, but what's really neat about it is the end grain.
Oh, wow.
So, and then, so I was messing around with mushrooms, just some more mushrooms because of the end grain.
Ooh.
So
yeah, that's a very nice wood.
Yeah, it is. Well, I was making one of my down unders, and it went too far under. So it kind of, I got a little too close. But anyways, it turned out, didn't do it on purpose, but I did a cross grain. So you can see that the outside is the end grain, and the top of it is the side grain. So that gives you some unique patterns. And then now that you're back, Ozzy, some of that, you gave me a pen blank and a bottle stopper blank. And here's one that I had from you for a while ago. I just finished it up today.
Oh,
but
wow.
It almost looks like, what am I thinking? I can't think of it now. Pearl.
Yeah, that was supposed to be mother of pearl.
Mother of pearl. That's what I was trying to say. It did, till I got down to it, I saw the mother of pearl.
Right. Yeah.
But,
it can be deceiving. Wow, that is gorgeous.
And that was all with, I started off with just a gouge, a bowl gouge. And the final stages of this is with carbide. And I like the carbide that's got the radius.
Mm-hmm.
Because if you use a square one, you're going to dig in. But something else I noticed, and I know this and I didn't think about it, but see where the clip is? I don't know if you can see it, but right here, usually whenever I do acrylic, I paint the tube a color that's in the acrylic. Like in this case, it would have been white. So if you don't do that, then you'll see the brass.
Oh
in the
no,
acrylic.
you can see the brass.
Yep.
Ah.
So when you're doing acrylic, one thing you should do is paint that tube some color. Now I wouldn't want to paint this tube black because you would really see it. So probably a white. Okay. And this is the same piece same piece of acrylic, but you can see, as you talked about the first time you did it, how some of the colors go to the bottom. So you can see where the color went to the bottom of the blank.
Oh,
you
wow.
know, when you cast it. The same with the other one. That's why the colors are more on one side. So that's something I've been messing around with. I just did one last thing here. It's a piece of mahogany that this is one of my first pieces that I ever had. And I redid it because when I first started turning, I didn't realize that you're supposed to have the bottom smaller than the top, or the way it should be. And this one went way down like this. And so the guys up in Broward kept telling me I had it upside down. So one day what I did is I just took a piece of wood, you know, put on the bottom and just redid it and made it more even. It was just rub on poly with spray poly. Well, that one thing I want to mention, you were talking about it. This is CA glue. This is CA glue finish. And that's what I use on pens a lot. And I've tried all different types of CA glue. Starbond, this Mercury Flex is really nice. Even those little samples you get at Home Depot and at whatever, Harbor Freight, I've tried that. And I really haven't noticed any difference. I use thin CA glue to do this. But the key to it is, what I find is in between the coats, hit it with the activator. And that's where you see these guys that turn pens and castings.
Hit it with, I'm sorry, I didn't hear that. Hit it with
CA
what?
glue, the activator, CA glue, the activator. Hit it in between. And then feel it. You know, if it's a little rough, then you need to touch it up a little, but go back. And so here's CA glue, and this is lacquer. You know, so it's much easier to do CA glue once you have it on the lathe. But just one last thing. I know this is what I do, Ozzy. When you're doing pens, it's hard to get, well, it's hard to get this side here and this end here flush enough so it's a nice transition into the pen. Sometimes you're not careful, you get a little divot here. What I do is I take my skew and I treat it like a scraper and just go back and forth to get it that nice and flat to make it line up to the bushing. And that's it. The scraper and color the blank.
Yeah, I forgot to mention that with resin blanks, especially for pens, you either paint the tube, or from what I've gathered is you can also purchase tubes in different colors, like pre-painted. But that's kind of, I think, counterproductive because I think you have to scuff the tube anyways to get it to glue.
No.
But yeah, no, you don't.
Not after you paint it. It's you know, it's not real shiny. I just buy those little tester. I've tried brush on, but you never get rid of the brush strokes.
Right.
So you just take those little cans of tester, and just took a block of wood, put some dowels in it, put it on there, and just spray it. And you know, I don't go back and rough them up. It sticks.
Yeah,
So
I
you
think
use the little
Acrylic.
spray cans.
Yeah, little spray cans of tester. Or if I did, when I used the tubes, it was acrylic paint that I used. And I guess
I
acrylic.
think white is the most popular color for things like that. Or I've seen they sell some anodized tubes that are in different colors, so you could go wild with the tubes. Pen turning has a lot of options, especially if you're doing resin resin blanks. But wow, that one came out real nice, Dave.
Yeah, thanks. That's it. Well, you made it. I just put it together.
Yeah, well, no, you did the turning part. That's the important. I can't wait to see the pictures of that in the newsletter. That is really nice.
But the key is you want to use a paint that's not overwhelming. Again, I'm just stressing that. You wouldn't want to put a red tube in here because then you would see red, you know, and then there's no red here anywhere and it would look kind of odd. So you just want to kind of mix it. I mean, blend it in with what you got. But that was, I have to say, Ozzy, from what your demo, what was really something, you took some chances, or you did some things that you don't usually hear of, you know, how you did the grit and how you changed it up and what kind of finish you use. I tell you, that was, I got to give you credit for just going out there and just trying things.
Yeah.
You almost sound like Ralph when he was younger.
Yeah, there was a lot of trial and error.
But
For
excellent.
Yeah. I do have what I wanted to show, so if you want, I could do that real quick, Ralph.
Yeah.
Okay. So I got a branch of wood actually from Tiffany. It's a Vera wood, they called it. And I had made a little bottle stopper out of it, but I still had a huge chunk. So I actually made 3 things. I forgot the last one inside, but I made I think a winged bowl is what you would call this, out of the branch lengthwise. So that came out real nice. It came out a little thin on the bottom. You can actually see light through it. So it was my first time using, I bought a vacuum truck and I was trying to use it. I didn't realize how thin I had gone through. So this was a lot of fun to do. I put my little pendants and things inside to take pictures. So it's a good prop for that. I finished it with a walnut oil friction polish. And then I decided to do one of these, which is an off-centered winged bowl, I guess, is what you would call this, out of the same branch. But since I had already cut this, so I realized after the fact, I cut this the wrong way. So you see the pith of the branch that's coming through, because this was a crotch piece, but it was, I did it with the branch basically going through the bowl. So with that, I end up having a crack on top. It's very slight. I didn't even feel it, you know, but I love the way this sits because since it's round bottom, it sits like that, and it's off-centered. It was really scary to turn on a little lathe because it wanted to bounce around. So it took a while. And when I had the issue with the bandsaw, it was because of this, because I decided to cut the excess off the wings, and I had the branch like this, and that's when it sort of caught. My hands were safe. I trust me. I know about keeping your hands away from the blade, but it did scare the crap out of my wife that was in the other room because she heard the bang, and she was like, "What just happened?" I'm like, "I don't know. I got all 10 fingers. It don't matter." But that's it. And this is also friction polished, finished.
Yeah, that's some beautiful wood.
Yeah, this stuff is nice.
Ozzy, when you say friction finish in the walnut, what kind of walnut oil are you using?
It's called Doctor's Walnut Oil. Yeah, Doctor's Wood Shop. And he has the regular walnut oil, which is what I use for sanding. But he makes a friction polish, which is, he calls it his 3-in-1. I'll show it to you. And the 3-in-1, it's kind of tricky because he's got a few different kinds, but this one is the one that's carnauba wax, walnut oil, and shellac. I really like this. I was making my own friction polish at first. I think the very first thing I took to the first club meeting I went to, I actually used the kind of shine juice or whatever they call it, and it was good, but I wasn't happy with it. This stuff is very nice because the oil, it acts a little bit different than boiled linseed oil, and it leaves a really nice finish. Of course, I afterwards, after this is dried, I hit it with the buffing wheel, and that's where you get that really nice. And there, I will use the wax wheel. So I do have an extra wheel just for the difference of resin and wood.
I got something, Ralph.
Okay.
Doing some more of that segmented turning. So I made a big old salad bowl out of zebra wood, maple, and some redwood.
Nice.
How many segments does that have, Steve?
240.
Oh, wow. Wow. That took a while. Yeah, right.
But who's counting?
Well, Ralph, I continue doing more of the, am I open? Do I have my mic open? I was doing more of the segment turning that you had started. This is cedar, closet cedar and pine. This is a little vase, if you can see that.
Yeah, nice.
Yeah, that's good.
And then it's got a test tube in it, but I've gotten some shorter ones because I don't like that it sticks out that much. I also, the pieces that you were helping me with, Ralph, those segment that we tried to run through the planer, and then I took over to Chrysler for using the belt sander or the drum sander. I ended up making a segmented bowl, which is about 10.5 inches wide and 4 inches deep. So it ended up really happy, again, cedar and pine. And I think this is the biggest piece I've made so far. And then the last thing is busy beginning of the month. I thank Dave Piper for his flowers and tulips class. It was my wife's birthday, and I made her a little mahogany pot and the tulips. The only thing is, Ozzy, you were talking about going thin on the bottom. I did go thin all the way through. So it does double as a microphone. But I will plug that with a round I'll make for and another base for it. Those were the pieces I did.
Hey, Ralph.
Hey, how did that work with the cedar and the pine? They have very different textures, and the cedar is very soft and the pine is very hard. Did you have
that's very, the pine's very soft. It turned, the whole thing turned like butter.
It wasn't South Florida slash pine then? It's a different
No,
kind.
no, this is like lumber pine. It was
This is like
a
Home
bookshelf.
Depot white pine.
Right, it was a bookshelf that we had built 40 years
I've
ago.
turned pine before that.
Right.
O sign out aqui tá aberto.
So who's next?
I got some stuff, Ralph.
Okay, let's see it.
Yeah, spotlight. So this is a wild tamarind. This little
De repente
potpourri,
tá lá no coisa
potpourri
do
bowl.
brincado, a gente pega.
What the hell happened here?
Yeah, what happened?
Os meninos do brincado só.
Can you see me?
Danny, mute.
Am I mute?
No,
you're good.
Vamos procurar os papéis.
No, we can hear you.
Okay.
Procurar os papéis.
Somebody else is talking though.
Anyway, wild tamarind potpourri bowl, and let's see, made this little mahogany birdhouse. So okay, and this bowl is called catalpa. I don't know.
Who?
Catalpa, Catalpa.
Ah, okay.
So, yeah, just finished it with oil is for use. So walnut oil finish on that.
It has almost an oak texture, huh?
Yeah, it's the bands like the rays on it. The early wood and late wood are quite different. Like the late wood is very hard and the early one's soft. So you get some ridges here because of the difference in the density of the wood. So a little bit of ripple effect from that. So
On the tamarind bowl, what's the little the thing you have on top? What are those called?
these are potpourri lids that you can buy. I don't know if it's Craft Supply or wherever, but I think they're about $5-10. I think under $10 a piece. They're about 3.5 inches or so, and then they just sit inside the top of the potpourri bowl. And
Wow, that looks really nice like that.
Yeah, they look pretty good. Make nice little gifts. So that's it for me.
Okay.
I'll go next.
Okay.
So I have these salt and pepper shakers from my family. They're at least 25 years old, probably 50. But they've had, you know, like years and years of crud on them. So I decided to turn all of the crud off of it. So I
It's called
challenged
patina.
myself to mount this on the lathe and sand it all off. I had a couple of challenges in getting it to grip where I could actually sand most of it. At a couple of times it was wobbling like this. So I didn't have it centered properly. So I had to redo it. And then I do have a little tiny mark on the top where I had the end piece to hold it in place. It kind of dented it, and I dented it so much I couldn't sand it off. So, but this one's next. So that was all I did this month.
That crud is called patina.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, you turned off all the good stuff.
Oh Lord.
Worth half as much now.
Yeah, right. I don't know, when you grab it and it's like
Oh.
maple syrup.
Yeah. Oh, okay. A little bit too much patina.
Too much is right.
Try wiping it down with white vinegar on the one that you haven't done. It may
Okay.
take off some of the patina and it won't hurt anything on the wood.
Okay, white vinegar.
You know, just the cheap, you know, at Publix, you get it.
I have, yeah. I will try it. I didn't know.
You know, try it on in inconspicuous spot, but see, it may take off some of the stickiness.
Sticky stuff. Okay, I'll give it a go. Thanks. Oh, the other thing I had on it, I don't know if you guys can see at the bottom where the marks, it marked it from the chuck holding it on. I put it, I guess, too tight. That, and when it started wobbling, it dented it even more. So, can you see the marks there?
What kind of live tail stock do you have?
Mm,
You might, on that end, you might want to try to use a tennis ball to kind of help you keep it together, and it won't dent that thing.
okay.
Yeah.
You'll have to play with it. What is Ozzy holding up?
Tennis ball.
Lessons in chucking.
Yes, that's what I need. A lessons in chucking class.
Lessons in chucking is what you need.
Yeah. Another thing, Tiffany, that you can try. I've used it. It works pretty good. You know that thin tubing that's clear, the clear thin tubing. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Clear thin tubing.
Right. You get it. It's everywhere. You get it everywhere. It's
Ace Hardware.
Ace Hardware everywhere. But it's pretty. It's kind of thick. I mean, if you have a spray gun, there's that tube that's used for a spray gun. Some type that goes. You put in a can of paint, and that tube is what sucks up the paint through the sprayer. That's just one of the uses of it. But you take that piece, you cut it the length of one of your jaws, and you cut down the center. You just put that over the jaws, and that way the rubber's grabbing the wood and not the metal.
Oh.
Yeah, it's like that clear aquarium tubing.
Something like that.
Yeah,
clear vinyl tubing.
Clear vinyl tubing. Thanks, Ralph. Or another use of it, Tiffany, is if you ever want to take a pin apart, you want to grab onto the pin, some of them you're able to pull apart. Well, I take a pair of those channel locks that are needle nose and do the same thing. Take pieces of that clear vinyl tubing and slip it over the jaws of your
Channel lock.
I mean, not the channel locks, but the vice grip, the pliers that have those jaws on them, that the metal won't dig into the wood.
Okay, I understand. Brilliant.
Brilliant.
Day late and $1 short.
Lessons in chucking.
Right?
Lessons in chucking.
Experiment.
Never.
Yeah.
Vinyl tubing. Thanks, Ralph.
Yes, clear vinyl tubing.
Clear vinyl tubing.
So who's next?
these little tennis balls are great at supermarket because they're made for dogs, so they're a lot tougher.
Okay.
So that's why I was showing it. These are great because they can put pressure on.
Okay. I'm not sure where to put the tennis ball, but I'll have Ralph show me.
Okay. All right. Ron, you got anything to share?
Ah, okay.
Unmute. Ron, you got to unmute yourself.
Ah,
There you go.
am I unmuted?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. Okay, in recognition of this season, I made a few of these for family gifts. Little guys here with different hats and different colors and stuff. So don't take too much to get them made, and they're kind of fun.
What are the buttons?
Those? They're tacks, upholstery tacks.
Oh.
Was
And
the
then-
nose turned?
Huh?
Was the nose turned?
Yes, the nose was turned. Turned into a carrot. Okay, that's it.
That's it.
Yeah.
Thank you. All right. Jim, you got anything? Jim Wheeler?
No, nope, not unless you want to come show us how to fix a roof ceiling.
Fix who?
Fix a ceiling with a hole in it.
Oh,
Daniel's practicing a new skill, boring holes in ceilings with water.
oh, good.
Yeah.
Okay. All right, Jan, you got anything to share?
He's talking, but he's muted.
He's talking, but he's muted.
How about that?
That's much better.
Okay. Haven't been doing much because I'm still recovering from that back surgery.
Oh, okay.
And I'm just sitting here fascinated with you guys. I'm not sure I'm ever really going to be any good with resin, but I sure would like to get back into wood.
We hope you recover soon.
Yes.
Well, I'm recovering. It's just achy now. It's not like, it's going to knock you down, but
Takes time.
walking any distance makes a big difference. Yes.
Oh, yeah. No, you had it done. What? It was July 4th, wasn't it?
Correct.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's when he had the surgery.
That's what I.
Celebrate Independence Day.
Yeah. Yeah. That's a long story. And one that's not very pretty. So, I'm not going to mention that. But no, my hands are amazing what you guys do. I probably don't hope to get anywhere near that, but I'm just, I'm going to be working at it as much as I can. So keep up the good work.
Okay. Pat, you got anything?
No, and I don't have a good excuse like Jan does.
Oh, okay. Bob?
I'm the same. I don't have a good excuse, but I don't have anything.
All right. Pete?
I have not touched my lathe since probably the beginning of July. I've been
Oh.
working on I've been building my kitchen. So so I have not, I think my lathe sent me flowers the other week, thought I died.
Yeah, well, that happens.
Yeah, so now I'm still working on my kitchen, and I got 2 upper cabinets to build the doors, stain it, and then it's time to assemble. So I'm winding down, but I see I'll probably be done within the next month, hopefully. Then I can get back on the lathe.
Cool.
Oh, hey, somebody sent out an email looking for maple because they wanted to build some cutting boards or something. And a few weeks ago, I guess it was one of the club members put out an email. Do you remember
Yeah.
that? I responded back. I don't remember who it was because I've got a lot of extra little scraps of maple from, that's what I'm making my kitchen out of, maple. I got hard maple and soft maple. So I emailed them back, but I haven't heard. So I don't remember who it was, but if
I think it was David Gladman was looking for some maple.
Oh, okay.
And somebody else replied to him, I believe.
Yeah, I let him know I got plenty. I got a lot of scrap. So
Okay.
But that's
Daniel,
it.
you got anything other than the cat?
Nothing at this time.
Okay. All right. Well, let me see who else we got here. Okay. All right. Well, I actually got out in my shop and started making a couple of things the other day. So, one of them I got on the lathe, still not finished. That's a little over 16-inch by 5-inch deep mahogany.
Wow.
And then I've got a thirteen inch by, I think, 3 or 4 mahogany, and it's got the still got some of the sapwood on the outside. It's got some spalt to it. I've got this finished with Howard's. And I've got another piece that I actually roughed this out. I think 2 years ago, and let it sit, and it warped just a little bit. This is there's the bottom. This is, I don't know, 12 something. Yeah, 12-inch diameter by just under 4 deep. And the rim is a chainsaw finish. This was actually a lump on the side of the log, and I just cut it off. So as you can see, it's got some
Rustic.
grain going kind of different ways. All in here. And I think that might have been where a limb was starting to come out right there.
It's just
And
rustic.
this is a piece of ZZ Fuss Jujube, which is actually the tree that they use the fruit from that tree to make the jujube candy. I got that piece of wood over at Montgomery a few years back, and it's been sitting. I roughed it out, and it's been sitting in the house. And I went ahead and just finished it yesterday. And actually, it turns out my next door neighbor has one of those trees planted in the side yard, and it hangs over my fence. And next time it goes into fruit, I'm gonna try and eat some, see what it tastes like. So they look like apples. They're also called Chinese dates. Also, is another name for them, depending on what part of the world that you're in. So, but that's what I've been doing for the last few days. So that's all I've got. So, anybody got anything else?
Nope.
Well, I guess that's pretty much it. Thank you, Ozzy, for doing another fine demo.
Yeah, thank you. Great demo.
Very, very good.
Thank you, Ozzy.
Yeah, you're
And,
welcome.
Thanks, Ozzy.
Thank you.
Thank you for the opportunity, guys. I really
Now,
appreciate
if I can figure out how to do segmented turning I made out of acrylic, I'll let you know.
we have to make a really big casting, but we could probably do it. And like I mentioned, if anybody wants a blank so they could try it themselves, I know without the investment of casting it, send me a message, an email or something, and I'll mail you out a blank. Okay.
Awesome.
Thank you. So next meeting, January, we got, hopefully, I've got it arranged and it should go through. Igor Kotler is going to do a demo on making train whistles. I saw that at the last month's Broward Club meeting that Dave sent me a link to. So Dave and I have both seen that demo, and I thought it was kind of interesting. So any of you guys that have grandkids, this is a nice little project you can make to give to your grandkids so they can make a lot of racket and drive their parents nuts.
Yeah, it's a real soft whistle.
Yeah, nice little train whistle. A four-note train whistle.
Ah, okay.
So I guess if nobody's got anything else, I guess we'll go ahead and end this. Everybody have a Merry Christmas and a happy, safe New Year. And
Yeah, please.
we'll see you all.
Thank you guys for all you're doing.
Next meeting, actually, we'll do a workshop
19th.
the 19th.
Yep.
Okay.
I
And
looked at the
maybe we'll have some people show up for this one. So we were going to have a demo at the last one. I was going to do something, but there was only, I think, 5 or 6 of us there. So we decided not to do anything except talk a little crap, and that was that. So we'll see you on the 19th, and then we'll see you in January.
You guys be safe.
So when I get this converted over to YouTube, I'll send the link, and you'll be getting some other emails soon. So everybody have a Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year, and be safe. So we'll see you next month.
Keith.
You too, Ralph.
Bye.
Way to go.
Bye.
Bye.
Merry Christmas, Happy New Year.